So hello everybody, this is Bhante Joe here, and I'm just here outside the Pavatakuti on a large rock, and thought to record a short Ovāda for the internet, so I thought that could start with just a little meditation. So I can lean forward a bit and arch the spine, and look about 3 feet in front, and close our eyes. And can spread thoughts of goodwill to our right hand side, wishing may all beings to my right be happy and at ease. May they put in place the causes necessary to be happy and at ease. And we can make the mind infinite, can make it unbounded, all the way to the ends of the universe and beyond, in every dimension. May all beings to my right be happy and at ease. And can spread thoughts of goodwill to our right hand side and our left hand side. May all beings to my right and my left be happy and at ease. May they put in place the causes necessary to be happy and at ease. And we can spread thoughts of goodwill to our left hand side, to our right hand side, and in front. May all beings to my right, my left, and in front be happy and at ease. May they put in place the causes necessary to be happy and at ease. And can spread thoughts of goodwill to our right hand side, to our left hand side, in front, behind, in all 4 directions. May all beings in all 4 directions be happy and at ease. May they put in place the causes necessary to be happy and at ease. And we can spread thoughts of goodwill to our right hand side, our left hand side, in front, behind, and above. May all beings in all 4 directions and above be happy and at ease. May they put in place the causes necessary to be happy and at ease. And we can spread thoughts of goodwill to our right hand side, to our left hand side, in front, behind, above, below, all around in every direction everywhere. May all beings all around in every direction everywhere be happy and at ease. May they put in place the causes necessary to be happy and at ease. And we can make the mind infinite, can make it unbounded, all the way to the ends of the universe and beyond, in every dimension. May all beings all around everywhere be happy and at ease. And before we finish meditating, can spend a bit of time contemplating impermanence. How everything that's subject to arising is subject to ceasing. It's not me, it's not mine, and clinging to it is suffering. And can open our eyes and do a short Ovāda for the internet. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami. Ditiyampi buddhaṃ saranang gacchami, Ditiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami, Ditiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhaṃ saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. So I hope that everybody's keeping well wherever it might be. And I'm not sure if that picked up on the mic here, but there was some Paritta chanting. I'm not sure where it came from. Maybe there's a temple down there, a pansila down there, and had this kind of background sound to it. It's kind of, you could hear it echoing. And remember, just above here, there's this Kuragala, which is now a kind of refinished, rebuilt, and I think quite beautiful temple that they've done just at the top of the hill here. And for the opening ceremony, the main monastery where I stayed for 2 years is just below that on the other side, near the base of a different mountain. And one monk was staying there, and he said, yeah, during the opening ceremony, it was like living in somebody's schizophrenic mind, because they had all these loudspeakers going, and you could hear this sound reverberating kind of around, so you just hear these like things like this. And so when we come to practice meditation, we have these kind of maybe there's like different layers of thoughts, different layers of grossness of thought, different layers of subtlety of thought that can happen. So some of the more kind of gross levels are when a person is actively overwhelmed or engaged by very strong and terrible memories about, say, like the past, or worries about the future, or very strong kilesas regarding like hatred or desire to restlessness in the present. These kind of very strong, they call in the canon of vitaka vichacha, kind of verbal fabrications are happening. It's kind of quite a lot of this kind of very loud thinking is happening. If one keeps focusing in on one's meditation object, keeps practicing meditation, whatever one's meditation object might be, that kind of loud thinking, one can ignore it, one can let it be. It can kind of settle down. It can kind of go into the background, and then there can be other layers of what you might call this kind of like thinking, kind of like this kind of reverberation in the background. It's kind of da-da-da-da-da, these kind of things. And so if one continues to focus on one's meditation topic, then these kind of thinking, they can kind of appear like a little bit, and then they can kind of appear a little bit for a person, kind of reverberate in the background, but the main focus can be on the topic of meditation. So there's different kind of strategies for overcoming kind of thoughts, these kind of difficult thoughts that occur when one meditates. Kind of the most common strategy that one tends to employ is to basically whatever the kind of loud thought that's coming up. Sometimes these very overpowering thoughts come up, kind of difficult thoughts about the past, worries about the future, these kind of things. One wants to identify what kind of defilement it's coming from, because the Buddha's given a list of different meditation topics that one can use to counter the various defilements that arise in one's mind. So if it's often hatred, then the counter to that is metta. If it's often lust for one, then the counter to that is to contemplate the foulness of the body. And so there's many different topics that he gives for countering these various defilements that come up. one of the interesting things that one might find is that basically there's certain defilements that are like these cartoon characters that would occur in like one of these old cartoons you watch when you're a kid, or like one of the old superhero movies you watch when you're a kid, where the same villain keeps showing up and doing the same hijinks all the time. I mean, he's got the same costume. It's kind of a different episode. He's up to something slightly different, but usually he has these kind of trademarks that he carries with him. And so in a similar way, for a person with their mind, there tends to be these qualities to a person's character, these kind of defilements that are like these villains. And they keep showing up with the same hijinks, a different episode, a different day, but trying to do the same things, kind of pull the same stunts. They're always up to something similar. You know, kind of in Batman, they had these various, like the Joker, he would have his things he'd like to do, and then they had this other man made of mud. He was always trying to do these various things. I can't remember what he was. Sometimes they wanted to get like revenge on somebody. Sometimes they were just an evil person who liked to cause chaos. Sometimes maybe be somebody who wanted money. Maybe be like an evil mad scientist who wanted to research. But they all had these kind of motivations, and in whatever episode they appeared in, their motivation was to carry out this kind of evil desire they had, which caused havoc for all the people in this superhero show. And so in a similar way, these kind of villains that keep appearing in one's mind, one can recognize them and recognize the kind of trademarks that they have. Is this something that's a trademark of like hatred? Is this something that's like a trademark of lust? What is this super loud, super obnoxious thought that I'm having that's just pulling me out and is stopping me from meditating? In some cases may even be strong enough that it convinces one that one should leave one's meditation. It's kind of meditation will be impossible right now. I shouldn't continue. So once one identifies those, then one can try to apply the appropriate remedy. There's all these various topics that are used to counter these various defilements, but one has to gain a facility with the topic. There's kind of in these various cartoons, Batman or Spider-Man or whoever it was, these kind of villains, they would come up with different hijinks, different ways to counter them. And these superheroes had certain weapons. Kind of Batman had these little like bat boomerangs, and he had like this thing that he'd shoot to like hang from trees, and had certain things he could do with his cape, but there were certain things he could do. So depending on the situation, he had to learn to use those tools, whatever he had. He also knew karate to kind of counter the things that the villain was trying to do. So in a similar way, kind of whatever the negative thought that keeps appearing in our mind, the defilement that keeps appearing in our mind, it appears coming at us from different angles. And so we have to learn to use the tools that the Buddha's given us to counter them in the situation that they arise. And this is where meditation becomes a skill. Oftentimes people think it can be the case that when one comes to meditation, one will learn it as a technique. Like, here's a technique, you have to do step A, step B, step C. If this happens, just do this. If this happens, just do that. But the reality of it is that these defilements that come into our mind, they're like these supervillains. They're almost like they have a mind of their own. One can think of them as if they have a mind of their own, and they're actively searching for weaknesses in our defenses. So we can't just keep doing the same thing all over again. They knew from the last episode what defeated them, and they'll try to block it. So using the tools that we have at our disposal, we have to find new ways to get at them. If one's hatred is always coming up, we have to find new ways to use metta. It's kind of new ways to block what they're doing and to use metta if the usual method that we're doing isn't working. So this is where meditation becomes a skill, where it becomes a facility. There's also different approaches that one can use. Sometimes if one is kind of going through the day, if one is cultivating a particular topic, then if one just kind of continues to focus on one's topic, it can sometimes, if one tries too hard, puts forth too much effort, then this can cause counterpoints of tension in the body. It can kind of cause counterpoints of thinking in the mind. So sometimes one just wants to let the thought one can just let the thought be in the background. Kind of just like one is walking by a crazy person on the street and they're yelling and doing all these things. If one goes and talks to that crazy person, then one's day gets a whole lot worse. But if one sees them yelling on the street and one just walks by them, then their power is greatly diminished. The yelling will still be there, but their ability to engage is much different. And also even the yelling just becomes something in the background. One barely notices it. It's kind of, There can be these, like this sound of the cicadas here. You know, if I pay attention to it, then it becomes very loud in my awareness. But if I stop paying attention, eventually it fades away. Although it's still there, I can return my focus to it. So in this case, what we want to have as our central foundation for our concentration, the thing that we're focusing on to avoid focusing on the crazy person yelling, is our meditation topic. And we should select this meditation topic in such a way that it's something that counters the main defilements that are showing up in our mind. The main meditation topic that we use should be something that helps us to actually reduce the problems that we have when we're not meditating, or reduce the problems that are always coming up in our mind if we're spending quite a lot of time meditating. It's basically the same thing, the same defilements, the same villains that keep showing up with different clothes. So when one has this kind of main meditation topic, it's not always, it can be the case that one can use these counters. But it can also be the case that sometimes there's just some things that one shouldn't pay attention to. It becomes like this parittas that were in the background when we were doing the meditation. There was quite a lot of parittas, and eventually the parittas slowed and then stopped. And so now, giving this talk, there's no paritta sound in the background. When this is the case, then one's mind can become peaceful. Sometimes one might start to feel quite a lot of feelings of ease or happiness in one's meditation. And so one learns to employ these different strategies to try to defeat the villains that arrive. One of them is to be quite active. But there is also this case where one can just focus on one's topic and let the sound settle into the background, not paying any attention to them. If one doesn't pay any attention to the people who are yelling on the street, they usually eventually go away, because what they want is attention. So there are also these villains that behave this way. So those are just a few thoughts on meditation, and hope that everybody's keeping well wherever might be, and wishing all the blessings of Dhamma practice.